So anyway, I came off the back of that ride thinking to myself, and that is why I ride on my own. I've always considered myself to be a bit of a one-man wolf pack, and judging from comments in previous videos, a lot of you take a similar approach to your riding. Finding someone to join me on the odd 10-hour training ride, it's not very likely. That said, my roots in cycling are cycling with a club, so this video going to give a few drawbacks and a few benefits to riding with other people. And full disclosure, it is off the back of a negative experience a couple of days ago, which I will get into, but nevertheless I'm going to try to stay unbiased. Hello my friends, and welcome back to the channel and another ultra cycling related video. Hope you're all well out there and making the most of this half decent weather while we've got it. We are well into spring now, and can you believe it, 5 or 6 weeks away from the start of Be Hard. If you didn't already know, I'm racing 1200 kilometers around Bosnia in the middle of June, and it's come in really quickly. Training pretty hard, and today I think is day 141 of training in a row. I'm feeling pretty good today, coming off the back of a rest week, if you can call it that. It's a bit different to rest weeks as I remember them, but I think based on the program I'm in at the moment, I'm feeling pretty good. So maybe my baseline for fatigue is just much lower now. But yeah, my rest week was 22 hours and 320 miles. Still somehow feeling pretty good today, so I'm not going to question that too much. But this week I didn't plan to make a video actually. As the weekend came, still had quite a bit of fatigue and was working that out of my system. Had no real plan for something to talk about. Normally I got a bit of a bee in my bonnet, something to speak about or somewhere cool to go, and didn't really have either this week, and thought, what's the point in trying to cobble something together? I really don't have the energy to do that, or something interesting to offer. So I had no plans. And sure enough, the cycling gods conspire to send something my way to wind me up. I joke, honestly, some positive came from it. But if you are subscribed, thanks for coming back. But if you're not, then you may want to subscribe and stick around to see what happens in a 1200k race around Bosnia in about 6 weeks' time. So anyway, last week was my rest week and I had no real plans of somewhere exciting to go. I did have 12 hours to do over the weekend. I didn't really want to go too far and exhaust myself too much. So I kind of thought already it's probably going to be some boring riding. So I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll go see some mates, ride with my club, and get out locally and catch up with a few people. That should save my legs. It ended up being about 85 miles at 18 odd miles per hour, so not the smartest of rides in my rest week. But anyway, nice to connect with some faces that I haven't seen for a while. Didn't quite go exactly how I imagined, and got me thinking about some of the benefits of riding in groups versus riding on your own all the time. If you're relatively new to cycling or relatively new to ultra distance endurance riding, then there are benefits to both. And I've done quite a lot of both. I'll go through some of the benefits and drawbacks of each, in the hope really that it will help people to have a good experience riding one way or the other. As always, when I go through these, if you've got a bit of experience as well and you think there are things I've missed you want to add, then chime in the comments, please. You have to bear with me out here. I live in the city. I've got a 1 hour recovery ride today, so I can't really leave the city. Bit of road noise, but I'm sure you can still hear me. I'm going to talk a bit about solo riding, my take on solo riding. I do quite a lot of that. You might notice I'm a bit of a Billy No Mates most of the time. And then I'll go into a bit about my view on group riding, club riding. I did that for years before I got into ultra distance and endurance, and now nobody wants to ride with me. No one's getting up at 6 AM, skipping the cafe rides to get as many miles in and hours in as possible. And then if you're interested, I'll get into a bit of gossip and what happened yesterday that set me off and made me want to talk about this, full stop. First things first, solo riding, my favorite. I pretty much exclusively ride on my own nowadays. for all the reasons I kind of mentioned already. I'm on my own schedule. I have to wait for anybody. If someone in the group gets a puncture, I gotta stop and help them, which of course you do. But if I'm on my own, it's only me I've got to worry about. I set my pace. I set the power zones, the heart rate zones. I stop when I want. I don't stop most of the time because I can't. But it kind of plays into the freedom aspect that I love the most. I'm out on an adventure on my bike, doing whatever the hell I want. Most of the rides I do have a purpose, and I'm watching numbers pretty much always. During the week I've got my intensity sessions on the turbo trainer, but outside of that, like right now it's a Monday, I've got 1 hour, zone 1, so I'm just pedaling, pootling around town, and over the weekends I can do whatever I want, whatever I feel like I can manage. Most of the time I'm tired, and that's not very much, but every now and then, if I feel like it, I can ride with other people, I can push the pace up, I can choose a hilly route, I can go further, I can do more elevation, whatever takes my fancy, really. And normally, I'm doing that for a couple of reasons. Either I've got a hankering for a bit of an adventure, I want to ride Stonehenge for instance. The weather's looking really good, I might want a really good sunrise, sunset. Often I'm doing it to try to get the training effect that I want. If I've got loads of energy, then I'm going to go out, smash the hills, or if I just want a flat circuit, I might ride to Brighton and back, no elevation whatsoever. If I'm honest, generally this suits me down to the ground. Pretty happy in my own company. I can be out alone, don't rely on a huge amount of social interaction generally, but we all need some. So those to me are quite a few reasons to really enjoy solo riding. There are some drawbacks. You really need to be good in your own company for a start, and I've shown even I struggle with that sometimes, especially riding through the night. But on top of that, if you do have any issues, you really are on your own. Something goes wrong. I've had to walk to train stations in the past, several miles away, because that's my only option, and I'm in that situation on my own. That's pretty good training for events where you might find yourself in that situation anyway, so I quite value that to some extent. But for me, the biggest drawback, if there is one, the biggest thing that I'm constantly conscious of anyway, is the lack of social interaction. If, like me, you've got a pretty stiff training plan for an event or something like that, this all works really well. You may not necessarily see people unless you really make the effort to try to factor in riding with mates somewhere in there. I find that can be a bit of a challenge for me anyway. I used to be quite an introvert, really socially awkward, until I started swing dancing, believe it or not. And in that world, you're kind of forced to have interactions with lots of different people. Socially, I got a lot better. But I stopped doing that and took up endurance cycling, and I can tell I've gone the other way. This is a great outlet for me, and I think you probably find quite a lot of people making these kind of videos are pretty introverted as well. But anyway, what I'm getting at is that is why I get tempted to go back to the cycling club to reconnect with mates. So I suppose that brings me nicely on to group riding, the benefits, drawbacks to riding with a club and riding in a group. Like I said before, I did this for years before I got into endurance riding properly, and I used to be there for the club rides every Sunday morning, mostly without fail. The benefits were numerous, to be honest. The main one, I suppose, is making friends and meeting people who are into the same things you're into. Shaving your legs, wearing lycra, blocking up the roads, even if most of them are filthy casuals. Joking. That's the main thing for me. I made a lot of friends in the cycling club. Some that I speak to quite regularly, but sadly don't see very often. Like Matt, if you watch this. You owe me a long ride. But even so, I can't see those too often because they'll be out thrashing around, and I'll be clinging on, trying to recover from a 10-hour training ride and getting ready for the next one. Makes it a little bit difficult to ride with mates. Another main benefit I found riding in groups is that fitness can improve so much more quickly. If you're turning yourself inside out every weekend, chasing a bunch of hard nuts to try to not get dropped every single weekend, that can get you so fit so quickly. One thing I found, no matter how strong you are or think you are, they're pretty much always going to be someone stronger. And you tend to find on club rides that sometimes you're the hammer, most of the time you're the nail, and sometimes you're the piece of wood. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, to be honest. Almost always you'll be looked after anyway. You get a really good training effect and you will get fit. On top of that, you get taken out on routes that you might not have planned yourself, seeing parts of your local area that you didn't know were there, and cafe rides. How I miss cafe rides. We went to a cafe yesterday, it was Easter Sunday, and the cafe was closed. So no cake for me again. To be honest, a lot of the drawbacks, they're just the opposites of the benefits to riding solo. There are a lot of benefits to riding in a group or in a club, so I'm not knocking it. If you're watching this and you're considering trying group riding or riding in a club, most clubs will let you ride with them 2 or 3 times before you have to sign up. So you could try a few, and my advice would be just try a few, see what they're about and see which ones work for you. If you've seen those videos, which cyclist are you? Are you the half-wheeler? Are you the one who complains all the time? The one who's always changing his bike fit and that sort of stuff? They're pretty funny, but because they're true. That's one consideration, I think, riding in a group, is you've got lots of personalities, lots of different kinds of people, and often you've got quite a few egos to deal with too. That's not exclusive to cycling or particular clubs. It's just people. You either get on in those environments or you'd rather be on your own. And I think that brings me nicely on to yesterday. The main important factor in group riding and club riding, when you've got people with you that have never ridden in groups before, never ridden with a club, is doing it in an inclusive way that looks after everybody. People out in the group are probably on roads they've never been on before. So if you drop those people in the middle of nowhere, that could be dangerous and it's just not on. Unfortunately, in my club we have egos and personalities that make it difficult. There were some people out that I haven't seen for ages. Really nice catching up with people. The group are working together at a pretty decent pace. I ride in the intermediate group, so it's pretty quick, but it's not as fast as the sporty guys who are practicing for racing. After people got warmed up, then 1 or 2 people came around to the front of the group and shot off. The whole point is to stick together, take your turns in the front of the group, don't string the group out and destroy people behind you, leaving a trail of destruction. And that's what happened pretty quickly. The cracks start to appear, people start to drop off the back, and once or twice I scream towards the front. They slow down, we get back together, and within 5 minutes the whole thing starts to happen again. Ultimately it's just people that don't want to move to the next group up, challenge themselves and be one of the weaker ones, and just want to destroy the group below. And sure enough, after a couple of hours of chasing those people around, people start to really hurt and reach the point of no return. And one of those people was the ride leader. Our ride leader was off the back. I dropped back with him, as well as a couple of other people. I yelled at the top of my lungs. A couple of people looked back over their shoulders and carried off through a traffic light which went red for us. All of a sudden, we're 2 groups now, and the ride leader is in the back group with me. So suddenly you've got a bunch of people that came to a club ride and they're chasing someone who's not the ride leader, who knows where, off into the distance, and we had to let them go. Didn't see them again. The reason it bugged me was the same thing happened on my last club ride, but I was the ride leader. I got dropped because I was sweeping at the back, trying to make sure the ones that were suffering at the back weren't getting dropped and lost in the middle of nowhere. And then the same people took the opportunity that time to shoot off. Never saw them again, same situation. And in our club, ride leaders volunteer. They create routes. They're trying to look out for people and make sure they're having a good time. That kind of behavior happens more often than I'd like to say. So anyway, I came off the back of that ride thinking to myself, and that is why I ride on my own. It might seem like quite petty stuff, but if you're riding in groups, then that's the kind of thing that sometimes you might have to put up with. And let's be honest, no one's coming out hoping to have that experience, are they? So anyway, that's the end of that rant. Sorry. Well, now I've got quite a stiff headwind. I don't think you can hear it probably, but I'm heading the wrong way along the beach. This isn't meant to be slating group riding, but just got me thinking about how lucky I am to enjoy endurance riding and doing this on my own without having to rely on anybody else. Does mean I don't get to see my mates very often, but I'm just going to make more of an effort to try to drag them out, especially Kenny and Matt, to join me on some of my rides. If you've got the opportunity to throw some group riding into your schedule, then I'd say go for it. Just go for a little test ride, check what the culture's like in the group, make sure you're going to enjoy it, really. I'm sorry this has been lots of chit chat, but like I say, I wasn't going to make anything this week and didn't have much to really talk about, but this is just a little leg stretcher of a ride, so nowhere particularly exciting to go either, unfortunately. But 5 or 6 weeks until Be Hard, so I am looking forward to that. And like I said, if you have experience in this kind of thing, you want to weigh in on this subject, then please get involved in the comments and let me know which you prefer and what you found is better for training, really, because I may not enjoy the egos and the personalities, but the training effect was really good. So I'm not gonna discount that side of it. Anyway, I'm heading back now. An hour and 40 minutes. I was meant to do 1 hour today, so my bad. So I'm gonna sign off. Look after yourselves, and I'll see you all on the next one.